My name is Alexander Fräktam, and in this webinar, I will talk about product feed optimization. With me, I have my colleagues Isaac and Maria, who will help me during the Q&A session. Let's begin. Today we will talk about impression share, what it is. We will look at why having a good product feed is so important for your performance, which feed attributes you should have in your feed, and also the quality content in your feed and how that affects your results on Google Shopping. And then in the end, we will also be able to answer some questions from you guys and summarize the whole webinar. So if you have any questions during this webinar, don't hesitate to send your questions in, and we'll take them after we're done. Yes, so impression share. What is impression share? Impression share shows you the impressions that your ads receive compared to the total number of impressions that your ads could get. So basically, depending on how your products are performing, you can see in your impression share how many impressions you get. So impression share is impressions divided by total eligible impressions, basically. With auction insights in Google Ads, you can see what your impression share is, and also see how you are performing compared to your competitors. So yes, very good things to look at to see where you can improve next. So here's an example from a Bidbrain customer we have. In the picture to the left, you can see the total impression share for the whole period. I think it's like 1 week or something, or it's a little bit more than that. And in the picture to the right, you can see impression share for each day. And this customer is obviously performing really well, since we don't have that high CPC levels, but they are still performing much better than their competitors. And that's due to us working with their feed a lot. So you might ask yourself, I have a very good website, a well-known brand, and very high CPC levels in Google Ads, but my competitors are still getting more traffic than me. So what am I doing wrong? So when you ask Google these questions, you often get the answers that you should increase the campaign budget, increase the CPC levels, which is your bids basically, or readjust your budget. But they rarely tell you that you should, of course, look into your product feed and see what you can do there. Because the product feed is so important for your performance on Google Ads. So always start with that first, basically. Yeah, so now we'll look into why having good product feed is so important for your performance. So like I said, before you increase the budget or your bids on your shopping campaigns, first look into your product feed to see if anything can be improved or added. How often your ads are shown is often dependent on how relevant they are and how often they are shown on different search terms that your customers are entering while they're searching for new products to buy. So by adding attributes like brand, GTIN, color, gender, size, etc., the quality of the product increases dramatically. So which feed attributes should you have in your feed? Let's dig into that. So adding information and attributes in your feed is super important, as the products will get a much better quality and therefore also be shown more often for the same or lower CPC bid. The question is, how do I know which attributes to add in my feed? And the answer is always, it depends on what you're selling. Different kind of products require different kind of attributes. So if you, for example, are selling clothes and shoes and stuff, you often need specific attributes. While you're selling refrigerators or saunas, you need a bunch of other attributes. Yes. So on this slide, you see all the mandatory attributes that you basically need for all kinds of products on Google Shopping. If you don't have all these attributes, it's very likely that your products will be disapproved by Google. So we have the article ID. Of course, it says itself, it needs to be unique for all the products. It can often be your SKU that you have for products. It's very important here that you try to use the same ID when updating your products. If you change the ID, you will lose all the data for that product, and you will basically need to have a new warm period for that specific product. The product title is also extremely important to have a good title to be more relevant. We will dig into the product titles more deeply later on. The description is also important to have. If you have a good description on your landing page, you can always use that on your ads as well. The landing page URL, of course, you need to have a good landing page, and you need to let the customer land on the page where they can buy the product directly without any pop-ups or strange things coming up. Image URL, of course, you need to show your product in a good picture, and you can of course also add more pictures, but the main picture you add is the one that will be shown in your ads. So for apparel products, you need to have a picture that is a good quality and at least 250 times 250 pixels. Otherwise, at least 100 times 100 pixels for all products. Always show your availability. So if you have in stock, out stock, pre-order, or back order, those are the values that are supported. We often see that people remove their products when they go out of stock from the feed. That is of course really bad, because if a product is removed from the feed completely for more than, I think it's 30 days or something, you'll basically lose all the data as well. So when you actually get that product back in stock, you will need to have a new warm period for that product. Price is of course also very relevant to have, and it's very important that you have the same price in your feed that you have on your landing page. That's something we see often is the reason why products get suspended. So make sure that you're showing the correct price. The brand is required for all new products except movies, books, and musical recording brands. But yeah, always try to add a brand. It's so important. And then we have the GTIN value, which is basically your manufacturer's number on that product. So if it is a known GTIN value, always add that on the product in the feed. If you're selling products that don't have a GTIN value, you can instead use the MPN value. And that's also a number that, if it's set by the manufacturer, you should use that same number. But if you have products that you sell yourself, that no one else has, that you manufacture yourself, then you can set your own MPN value. And that could basically be your SKU value or anything else. But yeah, either of those you need to have a good quality. And then we come to shipping. Also very important to have, to show your customers how much it costs, not only to buy the product, but also how much you have to pay to get it shipped home to you. And of course, you can add the shipping straight into the GMC account, but if you have a bunch of products with different shipping costs, it's always a good idea to have them in the feed. And then also always add the country, since that's a required attribute since half a year back, I think. Yes. In the next slide, we have a few of highly recommended attributes, which we always try to get our customers to add if they're missing. So in this slide, we are probably focusing more on apparel products, since it's often what people are selling online and on Google. But yeah, we have the sale price. Very important to use if you have a sale price. If you have a sale price, never add a sale price into your regular price attributes. Always use the sale price instead. This will also make it so that your price on the ad will be in red with the regular price stricken over. So customers will see that, oh, it's a sale, and it will increase the probability that they click it and perhaps buy it as well. Then we have the product category, the Google product category, which is a defined category by Google. Often Google will add that automatically if you have other key attributes. We will dig into that a bit later. We have the product type, which is basically your own product category structure. It's very important that you include the full category path for this attribute. So instead of just adding dresses, you should put clothes, then women, then dresses, and then maxi dresses to specify the whole path. Then we have the condition, which is basically always required if you have products that are used or refurbished. So it's a really good attribute to have if you have used products, basically. And even so, if you have a feed with mixed products where it's mixed if they're used, new or refurbished, always add it for all products, basically. Then we have age group, color, gender, and size, which are more aligned to the apparel products. But yeah, they are basically required for all apparel products targeting to certain countries like Brazil, France, Germany, Japan, UK, and US. But if you have products that are in different age groups, colors, sizes, or genders, it's basically required to add them anyways. So always try to have them in your feed. And we also want to highlight the custom labels, since we think it's so important to give more information about the products to the actual campaign's performance. So you can organize the bidding with it, for example, and add information about seasonality, clearance, if it's a holiday, or the sales rates, for example. Yes. Then we go into quality content in your feed and how it can affect the results. So it's like I have said before, it's not only important to have a correct attributes every product in the feed, but of course also to have good content in the attributes. In the end, the content is what will increase the quality of your products and increase the probability that your products will be shown for a wider range of different search terms. So let's dive a bit deeper into the most important attributes. So if you ever wonder why your shopping ads aren't showing up on important keyword searches, it seems that you have done everything correct. Always look at the product titles. So that's probably the most important attribute to have a good quality in. So first off, always try to have at least 75 to 100 characters in your titles, so they're long. So not only the specific product data name. Try to always use numbers instead of spelling out. Use the number 2 instead of type in the actual number. Use symbols to divide your different parts of the title, so a dash, slash, commas, and so on, to make it easier to read. Always add a brand. That's something we see with a lot of customers, that add a brand, that they immediately increase their impression share. And use as many keywords as possible. So for apparel products, always try to have the color, gender, and size, for example, in the title, because they will show up on so many more keywords by customers. So here we have an example of a product that only has the shoe name as the title. It's really bad, since it will be really hard for Google to show this product to a broader audience. So if I for example search for black running shoes, it's not sure that this product will even turn up, even if it is a black running shoe, because we don't have that in the title, and we might don't have those attributes even in the feed. So next on next slide you can see the next product, which has a much higher quality, since we have the brand, the shoe name, the color, gender, keyword, and size. So here, if I search for black running shoe, it's much more likely that this product will show up. So always aim to add as much information you possibly can in the titles. So we have the Google product category. Like I said before, this is an attribute that Google often adds for you automatically, but it only does that if you have good titles, good descriptions, accurate price, brand, and GTIN. So if you're missing those attributes, it's really important that you add the category yourself, and then you always have to either add the whole path or the number that Google assigns for all other categories. Next up, we have the product type, which again is your internal category tree. So it's very important that you do it with, like you do it with a regular category, that you added the whole path. Google has support to add 5 different product types in the feed, but it's only the first attribute that will actually be sent to Google Ads. So best practice here is to always include the whole path in the first prototype to be sure that the whole path is used and can be utilized for your bidding. And we have the custom labels as well. Like I said before, it's a great way to provide additional information for your products, and that will help you categorize them and set bids depending on the values you have. Google has support for 5 different custom labels, while we at Bidbrain have support for an infinite amount of custom labels. So you can basically shoot in as much information as you possibly can, which will help us set the correct bids and improve the performance. So let's go into summary and Q&A session. So again, impression share shows you the percentage of the impressions that your ads receive compared to the total number of impressions that your ads could get. To increase your impression share, first log into the product feed and try to optimize before you increase the budget or your bids. Make sure you have the correct attributes for your products, and make sure the content in your attributes have high quality and are relevant to the product. So, questions and answers. Let's see if we have received any questions. And we have Maria with us, I hope.
Yes, hello, here I am.
Welcome.
Hi. So we have one question here, which is, how do I know what Google category I can add to my products?
So Google have a huge list. It's one list per country where they list all the categories that they have available, and it's basically different categories for different countries. So it could be a bit hard to add them manually. So that's why, I mean, if you add all the other attributes like GTIN, a good price, and brand and so on, Google will automatically add them for you. Yeah.
Thank you. We also have, how do I add multiple custom labels to my feed?
Oh, that's a tricky one. It really depends on what kind of plugin you're using for your feed. If you host it yourself, you should be able to add them straight into the code. But if you're using some kind of tool to help you with the feed, then it depends very much. So the best thing is to just reach out to the support team for your feed tool and ask them how to do it.
So we actually have another question on that topic, which is, what is the best tool for fixing your feed?
There's a bunch. So yeah, in our experience, there's a lot of good ones and a lot of bad ones. But we have seen that, Shannable is a good one. I know that you have a few more, Maria. You want to help me with that one as well?
Yes, I do. As you said, there's a lot of different tools you can use. It all depends on what e-commerce platform that you are using. And you can, of course, use, for example, Shannable, who works with your product feed URL and doesn't depend on a specific e-commerce platform. But we also have Data Feed Watcher, is something that we have seen a lot of customers using, which is also a good tool. And we do have Feed Optimize as well. And there's a couple of out there, but I would recommend that you check with either your e-commerce platform what they recommend. For example, if you're using Shopify, you can just go into the Shopify App Store and search for Google Feeds, and you will see the top rated programs. I know there's a couple of e-commerces that are a little bit scared or worried about paying for applications for the feed, but it's totally worth it, as maybe you could have understood from this seminar with Faklam, that having a good feed actually helps you to save money in the end, I would say. Sorry, I'm reading from questions. Let's see, we have What happens if I don't have all the mandatory fields?
Good question. It's very likely that your product will be disapproved by Google. If you're showing the wrong price, or if you don't even have a price, or if you're missing the brand for a well-known brand, or if you don't have the GTI and value, that's attributes that you need to have to provide enough information to Google to approve them and validate that they are real products and that you're a real store selling them. So yeah, you can basically get your products or your whole account disapproved.
Thank you. We also have, how important is it to have product reviews in your feed? And I can also add, sorry, to that. And how do you add them?
Yeah. So of course, sorry, I don't have a number for it, but obviously it's really good to have a rating for your product, since customers are more reluctant to click on the ads that have good ratings, since other customers seem to like them as well. So if you look at myself, it's very often I click on those more often if you can see that they have good ratings. And you add product ratings for your products by going into your Merchant Center account, go into growth and then opportunities, and then you can click manage programs, and there you have a bunch of different good applications you can add for your products, where product ratings is one of them.
All right. Sorry, still reading from the question list. Here someone says, I always add my sale information in custom labels. Is that correct? Or should I do it another way?
It depends on what you're meaning with sale. If it's a sale price, you should always use the sale price attributes. But if you're adding information about the sale ratings, like if it's a high sales, low sales, or medium sales, that's a perfect attribute to have in your custom labels, or a value to have in your custom labels.
Okay. And which is better? Is it XML or CSV when you're creating a feed?
Yeah, we have experienced both cases, both type of feeds, and I know that it's much easier for systems to execute XML files. So that's basically what we often recommend all our customers to use. But it's much easier to look at the CSV file with your own eyes and try to find out which products have certain values in another way. So it's easier to handle CSV files, but it's much easier for the systems to handle XML files. So XML files is the one I would recommend.
And can Bidbrain help with my feed?
Not directly. We can of course help our customers to tell you how to improve your feed and which attributes to add and which attributes to improve. But at the moment we don't have an automatic feed improvement in that way, but that's something we are building and planning for right now. So in the near future, we will probably help all our customers with that as well. Yes. Do we have any more questions?
Not at the moment. Feel free, people, to ask more questions.
Yeah. In the meantime, for all you attendees, if you want to have a free analysis of either your shopping ads or performance or your product feed, just sign up to bidbrain.com and connect your store, and we will provide a feed analysis and shopping performance analysis for you. And also, if you come up with more questions after this session, you can also email us at support@bidbrain.com, and we will answer you as fast as we can. So let's wait 1 minute or something if you get more questions. Do you have any questions, Maria?
Not at the moment, I think. I'm trying to think about more questions. I thought they were excellent questions that we already had. But maybe we can talk a little bit about how you add information to your feed. I know that some of our customers that we have had and are experiencing some issues when we ask them to add more information to their feed. For example, one attribute that is not mandatory, but the energy, what do you call it? How much energy the product is.
Efficiency class.
Exactly. So how do you add that, for example, from your systems?
Yeah, so again, it depends on how you're hosting your own feed. If you have it in your system, then you should be able to handle it in the code to add that attribute. And if you're using a plugin like Shopify, for example, you should be able to add it with tags as they have. I know that the Shannable should have the possibility to add those as well. But for whatever reason you can't add them in your primary feed, you can also add a supplemental feed in your GMC account. But that's a whole other webinar for us. So we can go through that next time.
I also came up with a controversial question though. So is there any risk with adding a lot of different information to your feed in terms of, for example, Google Merchant Center? We know that Google is always checking that you have the correct information in your feed versus what's on your website. So do you see any risks with adding a lot of attributes in your feed?
As long as you enter the correct values, that also corresponds with what we have on your landing pages, then I wouldn't say that's an issue at all. Basically, the key point here is that the more attributes you add and the more value you have for your products in your feed, the more information Google will get from you, and the more and the better you will be able to perform on a lower CPC level. So yeah, again, as long as you add the correct information, no worries at all.
Thank you.
So, no more questions?
No.
So then, if you have any more questions after this, email us at support@bidbrain.com. Like I said, our next webinar will be at the 20th of October. So be sure to tune in then, where we will talk about top 3 things e-commerces miss when optimizing Google Shopping campaigns. So hope to see you then. Bye, everyone.